What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. Happy game day, everybody. The New York Giants, they play today, not during the day, but at night. Yeah, we got a primetime game versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I can't believe it's here already. I feel like this past week just flew on by, and a lot of Giants news kind of unfolded in the past few days. Kayvon Thibodeau being a massive storyline that we have yet to discuss on this channel. I want to immediately go ahead and dive into that first and foremost, Alex. Kayvon Thibodeau placed on injured reserve, out for at least the next 4 weeks, but 5 weeks from now, the Giants are on a bye week, so it's very likely that we don't see Thibodeau for 6 weeks until the Giants return from their bye following their game in Germany against the Panthers. It's a pretty big loss to a Giants defense that was getting a lot of pressures out of Thibodeau. He had 16 pressures through the first 5 games. I believe that was second most on the team behind only Dexter Lawrence. He was playing some good football. He was productive. He made some plays against the run as well. And, maybe Kayvon hasn't been the top 5 pick and hasn't lived up to the hype necessarily week in and week out that we expected him to, but you still can't discredit the fact that he's been a very productive and solid contributor to the Giants defense every single week and was playing better and better every week this year. So now he's going to be out of the lineup. We're going to get Azeez Ojulari in the starting lineup tonight versus the Bengals and for the foreseeable future. Huge opportunity for Ojulari, but also huge loss for the Giants defense as they try to apply some pressure to Joe Burrow and hopefully get their second straight win. Alex, what is your reaction to Kayvon Thibodeau being placed on injured reserve, and how are you feeling tonight going into this Week 6 matchup?
Yeah, listen, this is going to be a big game for the Giants. No Malik Neighbors, no Kayvon Thibodeau, and in the end, this is going to be difficult to manage on both sides of the football. The Bengals are a little bit of a different team compared to Seattle. I think their defense is still very susceptible to bigger, kind of blowout performances, and looking at what the Bengals have been doing recently, they're losing games, but they're scoring a lot of points. This is going to be a big test for the Giants defense, and no Kayvon Thibodeau. By the way, he's had 10 pressures on his last 2 weeks, 2 consecutive games with 5 pressures each. He's been getting a lot better recently, and I think he was finding his rhythm and his flow. This is a really annoyingly timed injury for him. But, good thing we have a nice depth piece in Azeez Ojulari who can step in and at least support. This Bengals defense, listen, DK Metcalf, Deonte Banks locked him down. Jamar Chase is a totally different beast. More agile, faster, just a totally different type of player. So he's going to have his hands full in this game. I imagine he probably travels with him. And, we are getting Andrew Phillips back for this one. That's a really nice addition to the secondary. He was playing more in dime packages last week. He'll be back there as the primary nickel this week and being able to help if Jamar goes into the slot or whoever, even if it's T. Higgins. He's got that physicality and that fight in him, that fire, to match up against any receiver in the slot. So really, really excited to have Andrew Phillips back. Also just for his general development. He's such an exciting young player, leaves it all on the football field, really smart, physical, fast, and I think that the Giants are a much better team when he's available and on the football field. I think Cordell Flott has earned the right to start at CB2. At this point in time, he's been playing really, really well over the last couple weeks. So I think that we'll see a Deonte Banks, Andrew Phillips, Cordell Flott secondary with, of course, Tyler Nubin at free safety, who's been an underrated piece so far. On the offensive side, who do the Giants kind of lean on this game? I think it's going to be another kind of similar strategy, honestly. Tyrone Tracy gets the start again with Devin Singletary ruled out. So we're going to see a lot of Tyrone Tracy. We're going to see a lot of Darius Slayton. And, of course, a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson, who has been a key in moving the chains. And, if they can clean up the drops here, this Giants offense can move the ball pretty effectively. But I think they set the tone on the ground. They maintain time of possession, exactly what they did with Seattle. They tried to do it with Dallas. But I think as long as the Giants have the football, keeping the ball away from Joe Burrow, because the Bengals are going to score points. You can't really stop them. You can just try to contain them. The best way to contain them is to keep the football out of their hands. So, in my opinion, establishing the run early, maintaining time of possession, and most of all, don't turn the ball over. That is the catalyst to winning this game, Anthony. How do you think the Giants offense goes about this one? I think it definitely goes through the run game.
Yeah, I think you got to establish your offense through the rushing attack. But first and foremost, I think the key point of emphasis here for this New York Giants team is going to be to slow down the Cincinnati Bengals offense, whether that be by controlling the game on the ground on the offensive side of the ball or hoping to see some of your young cornerbacks step up in a major way. Because when you're going up against a team with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, even Yoshi out of the slot is a really good player who we liked in that pre-draft process, Andre Yoshivas. This is a really stacked Bengals offense. And Joe Burrow, this team is 1-4, but it's not really Joe Burrow's fault. He's playing some excellent football, MVP level football, you could argue, if this team was winning more games. So this is a game where if the Giants defense doesn't turn in, an excellent performance, it's going to be really difficult for them to find a win. But on the offensive side of the ball, Alex, to answer your question a little bit more clearly, yes, I think this offense runs through Tyrone Tracy, and I think the point of emphasis here for this Giants offense is to create explosive plays. They need to be able to get chunk yardage against a really bad Cincinnati Bengals defense. This defense has struggled week in and week out. Their secondary has been banged up. It's torn to shreds. They have a lot of players out of the lineup. The Giants cannot go into this game, or leave this game rather, with a minimal amount of points scored. When you are facing a defense this injured and this bad, you better put up some points. So that's going to rest on the shoulders of Brian Dable. That's going to rest on their ability to create explosive plays. And for clarification, when I say create explosive plays, I'm not just pointing to Daniel Jones throwing the ball downfield. I'm also pointing to guys like Tyrone Tracy. When you catch a ball out of the backfield on a screen, turn that into an explosive play, right? You caught it 2 yards behind line of scrimmage. Now get 15 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's explosive. And even Wan'Dale Robinson catching all of those short routes underneath. He's open a lot, and he's catching the ball within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage nearly every single time he gets a reception. But oftentimes he's turning those 3-yard catches into 15-yard gains. That's what I'm talking about when I say create explosive plays. We got to get these players becoming playmakers. And I think that's how the Giants will be able to find their way to a win in this game. Creating those explosive plays. Yeah, Daniel Jones needs to hit those balls downfield accurately. I think Darius Slayton is going to play a huge part in that. Maybe we see some Jalen Hyatt today. Maybe we don't. I don't know. I've kind of given up on this. I would love to see Jalen Hyatt get some run and get some receptions, make some plays. But through 5 weeks, he doesn't have a catch. I've kind of lost faith. But we'll see. Maybe this is the night, prime time. Maybe we get a Jalen Hyatt anytime touchdown and he breaks out. That's totally possible. But when you're looking at this lineup for the Giants, Darius Slayton is going to be the focal point. And I think that when we consider the way that this Bengals defense has lost a lot of players due to injuries, we could see Darius Slayton absolutely pop off and have another big game like he did last week. So, Alex, when you're looking at this game, though, I know that we want to slip in a sponsorship notice here from BetUS and take a look at the lines. I don't know if you have an opinion on the over, the under. Maybe you want to go Giants money line. Are you feeling bold? How are you feeling about a bet on today's game?
On today's game, I would take the over on points. I think that's probably where I'd go. Definitely taking the over on points in this one. I think this is a shootout. I think the way that Joe Burrow is playing, the way that the Cincinnati Bengals offense is kind of producing right now, and the way the Giants are moving the football against two kind of defenses that you can put points up against, but we hope the Giants bend don't break kind of mentality stands up. But I think the over in points in this game is definitely a good one.
I would agree with you. I think that ties in well with the conversation we were just having. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they've been putting up a lot of points. They haven't been losing games because of a lack of offensive output. It's just been because their defense can't get stops. And then inversely, when we're looking at this New York Giants team, they've been scoring a lot more lately. And Brian Dable has been calling some great games. Daniel Jones is playing much better football. And the playmakers are finally starting to get involved and get into the end zone. So I absolutely do agree with you. I think we'll throw down 10 on the BetUS, over on BetUS. We'll throw down 10 on the over on points and hopefully make a little bit of money. Let us know if you're tailing. But back to the preview for this game, Alex, and also make sure to use the code YouTube150 when you sign up at BetUS. Sportsbook with the fastest payouts in the industry. Back to the game, though, Alex. Let's look at this Giants defensive line because, man, Dexter Lawrence, Defensive Player of the Year. I know you wrote an article about him yesterday talking about his contract and what a bargain that was for the Giants. He's absolutely exceeded all expectations on that deal. And, man, I think that Dexter Lawrence, when you're looking at the way that he's playing on a game-to-game basis, scratch that, on a down-to-down basis, there's maybe nobody else more dominant in the NFL right now.
There isn't. I mean, he's on pace for, look, the numbers don't make sense. What is it, 72 pressures, something like that, maybe more, like 17 or 18 sacks this year. You're looking at a player that is on a Hall of Fame trajectory, guys, if he continues at this pace. He is, I think, the best defensive player in the game. The only player that has more sacks this season than him is Aiden Hutchinson with 6.5. Dexter Lawrence has 6 in 5 games. This is no ordinary situation that we're witnessing here. The Giants have him at about 21.1 million, I think, per season on average in terms of cap hit, and that money only escalates to a maximum of 27 million in cap hit in 2 years, and then the last year of his contract, it actually goes down to 26 million. When all is said and done, the cap continues to rise. Dexter Lawrence's contract is going to look like one of the best in football, and it already does, to be quite honest with you. A team that, if the Giants were really bad and looking to trade him, he's the type of player that would have gotten them like 3 first-round picks. That's how good he is and how good his contract is. Fortunately, we have no interest in trading Dexter Lawrence. So you Minnesota Vikings fans who are absolutely living in la la land can bug off, because there's just no shot. There's no the fact that they're conjuring the reality that they could get Dexter Lawrence. There's no freaking way in hell, especially because they're a good football team and the Giants be getting late first-round picks at this point. Stupid, brain dead. What happened? What's going on in Minnesota right now? The brain cells are being destroyed at such an astronomical pace. Don't know what it is, but listen. Looking at this team, it always comes down to Dexter Lawrence in the trenches. The secondary, they're holding up pretty well because of this pass rush. Losing Kayvon Thibodeau kind of sucks. He's been pretty good recently, but I think Azeez Ojulari's got more than enough talent to step up and make an impact in this one. He had 4 pressures and 2 sacks against Cleveland. Had a really, really good performance then. Has stepped in and had some really good snaps in pure pass rush situations. So I do think that a lot will lean on him. But with that being said, this secondary has stepped up and played better over the last week or so. And even against Dallas, they weren't that bad. The Giants had a chance to win that game. They just, a couple of bad plays, like the CeeDee Lamb touchdown, like those plays define games at the end of the day. It really comes down to that. Just one play can ruin or make or break a game. I think that's kind of what the Giants have to do today. Stop Jamar Chase from the big touchdowns.
Yeah, and I actually do have some insight. I was doing some research on Deonte Banks and the way that he's played this season. That one big play that he led up against the Dallas Cowboys, that CeeDee Lamb touchdown, Alex, you might be interested in this. That was the only reception that he led up, Deonte Banks did, in man coverage in that game, was the 55-yard touchdown. So what did the Giants do in the following game in Week 5? He played man coverage 18 or 20% of the time, something really small. At the beginning of the season, Alex, the Giants had Deonte Banks lining up in man coverage nearly 45% of the time. They've clearly made a shift and an adjustment. And I have to give a lot of credit to Shane Bowen for doing that. He didn't say, hey, this is our defense and we're going to stick to it. We're going to wait for it to turn around. He said, okay, this was our defensive game plan. It was not working. We're going to throw it away. We're going to pivot to what works best for our team. So instead of playing that man coverage 40% of the time every single week with Deonte Banks, they cut it in half. He's playing man coverage only 20% of the time now. The one reception that he led up against the Cowboys was that 55-yard touchdown, and then he didn't have a single reception led up in man coverage versus the Seattle Seahawks. He only led up 3 receptions for 17 total yards against DK Metcalf and the Seahawks in Week 5, all of them in zone coverage. So you're looking at this defense making a shift, making a crucial adjustment. Credit to Shane Bowen for recognizing Deonte Banks isn't truly a man cover corner. That's always been a bone that I've had to pick, Alex. I know you've heard me talk about this for the last year plus with Deonte Banks. Everybody kind of called him a man press cornerback when he got drafted, and I was pretty quick to say, guys, he's not a man press cornerback. He has the traits of a press man corner, right? Like, he's tall, he's physical, he's fast. He has those traits, but if you look at the way that he played at Maryland, and Alex, I can't even count how many times I've argued this, he didn't play a lot of man coverage. He was a zone press corner. He played a lot of cover 3 and locked down one side of the field, right? And so when the Giants tried to make him this traveling man coverage corner in his rookie year, I kept pointing to that and saying he's not a scheme fit. They're not playing him the way that he's accustomed to playing. It's going to take him a long time to get adjusted to that. The Giants went into this season once again trying to force Deonte Banks into this man cover corner role. He was traveling all over the field, running from one sideline to the next on these crossing routes, letting up big receptions. What did the Giants do differently now? They shifted the coverage scheme for the defense. They made it a zone coverage scheme. Now they're allowing Deonte Banks to play his natural cornerback position that he thrived in at Maryland, letting him just lock down one portion of the field in zone coverage, and we're seeing him finally turn the corner as a result. So that's just one of the major takeaways that I've had from these first 5 weeks of the season. Number one, pat myself on the shoulder. I was right. Deonte Banks, not a man cover corner, a zone cover press corner. That's absolutely what we've seen demonstrated through the first 20 games of his career, but also credit to Shane Bowen for recognizing that as well, making the adjustment and allowing the defense to play at a much higher level and play much better in coverage because he made that adjustment in the scheme. So again, Shane Bowen got a lot of crap for the way that this defense played the first 2 weeks. He certainly deserved it. I kind of stood firm, though, and I kind of praised him. Even in Week 2, when the Giants didn't force a single punt, I said, hey, they also didn't surrender a single touchdown. I think that Bowen has done a great job with this unit. And honestly, considering how much youth is in the secondary, how many young, inexperienced pieces we have, Alex, I think that they've really exceeded my expectations in many different ways through the first 5 weeks of the season. In particular, I'm going to let you talk about this kid because I know you really like him. You also wrote an article about him recently. Tyler Nubin has been playing some damn good football. Really good against the run, a couple pass breakups, fumble recovery, forced fumble. His stat sheet looks pretty good through the first 5 weeks of the season, and I really like the way that he's played. What's been your takeaway from him?
Well, the biggest takeaway is that he's a really, really good tackler, and he's stopping the run at a high level at the free safety position. He's really getting into the box, coming down and making some plays. And I think, what does he have, 5% missed tackle rate? Really, really, really low. And this conversation always ends up turning into Xavier McKinney is the best safety in football. And yeah, I get it, but he's not on this football team anymore. One of these guys is 5 years more experience and making $17 million per season more, and that's Xavier McKinney. He has earned the right to those things because of his experience and all that stuff, but Nubin is a rookie, and as a rookie stepping in and making an impact he has on the run, in the run game rather, he has been excellent, and I think that is a really good starting point for a young player. Really good run stopper, really good at helping support in that way. And now it just comes down to the ball hawking. And look, teams are not throwing deep on the Giants because they don't have time to. This pass rush has been so good in a lot of ways that quarterbacks don't have time to sit there in the pocket and wait for these routes to develop. They're taking a lot of shorter stuff, intermediate routes. A lot of the deeper touchdowns have been throws that maybe 15, 20 yards that have been taken to the house. Like the CeeDee Lamb touchdowns are a perfect example of that, just running away. But the Giants have not let up a lot of deep passes. I think Nubin's been solid back there. Eventually he'll get that interception. It's coming. It's just only a matter of time. But teams aren't throwing deep on the Giants. They're having to march down the whole field, like 10, 15 play drives, 70 yards. And, it's a lot harder to capitalize on red zone opportunities when you have to run 6 or 7 red zone plays. So, I do think the Giants are doing a pretty damn good job at managing things on the defensive side, very much exceeding expectations up to this point. And don't discount Nubin. He's been solid. He's not Xavier McKinney, but he's been pretty damn good for a rookie. So let's give him his flowers. I think it's important to give everybody credit here. I'm excited to get Andrew Phillips back in the sequence. It's going to be really fun. Like this defense has all the pieces aside from Thibodeau obviously being out, but Phillips is an impact piece. We saw over the first 2 weeks that guy was making plays. Whether it be in coverage, against the run, behind the line of scrimmage, he was all over the place. Having a healthy, Andrew Phillips makes this secondary significantly better. Not just a little bit, but significantly better. So really, really excited. This is going to be a huge challenge for the Giants today against a team that's finally getting T. Higgins involved. Really, capitalizing on Jamar Chase. Lots of upside there for that offense. So, Anthony, I think that this defense has a lot of potential. Excited to see them. This is going to be probably their biggest challenge of the year so far in terms of offense and the upside they have in Cincinnati. So it's going to be fun. In primetime, man, let's talk about it. Daniel Jones, horrible primetime quarterback. This is the chance to change the narrative, right? He's got to change this narrative. He's got to put it to bed. What is he, 1-14, 1-15 in primetime? It can't just be 1 p.m. wins against bad defenses or against bad teams. It's got to be, he's been playing well, really, really well the last couple of weeks. Had an excellent game against Seattle. But this is a different beast. You know what I mean? He may have to go punch for punch with Joe Burrow. And if that's the case, he's got to go out there and produce. So, give him his credit for the last couple weeks, but the season is long, a lot to happen. He's got to keep building on these performances, compounding good things in good days and good weeks. This is a big stepping stone for him to do it in a primetime situation when all eyes are on him in MetLife.
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought that up because obviously you and I have been chatting on the side outside of the show about that all week, and I've been saying, listen, Daniel Jones is absolutely playing better. We all can admit that, whether we wanted him to be the quarterback this season or not. You can't deny the fact that he has played better over the last 3 weeks. But I keep arguing, I will believe it when I see it under the bright lights. If he doesn't turn out in a primetime game, then I can't truly believe that he's turning a corner and reestablishing himself as a franchise quarterback, because franchise quarterbacks win big games. They win when the lights are at the brightest. Daniel Jones throughout his career has never really done that. He has a 1-13 career primetime record versus a 22-22-1 non-primetime record. So he's 500 in his career when he's not playing under primetime, and he's got a less than .100 win percentage when he is playing on primetime. That's insane. And Alex, listen to this. His touchdown to interception ratio on primetime, 12-19, just terrible. Outside of primetime, 52-22. That's actually pretty damn good. That's more than 2 touchdowns to every 1 interception. That's a good ratio, but 12-19? I mean, listen, Daniel Jones has done a great job keeping the ball clean over the last few weeks. He hasn't been turning it over. Tonight, He's got to keep that going. He's got to throw a few touchdown passes, no turnovers, and start to make that TD to INT ratio on primetime look a little bit better. I mean, my God, that is bad. He's not getting back to 500 on that TD to INT ratio unless he throws 7 touchdowns, no picks tonight. That would be historic. If that happens, I think we're all talking about Daniel Jones back as the franchise quarterback. But let's temper expectations. Let's look at the reality of what we're seeing here for Daniel Jones. This is a player who came into the season much maligned by all of the media. The Giants themselves were looking into new quarterbacks. They tried to trade up and draft his replacement. This is a kid playing with a chip on his shoulder coming off of a torn ACL. He played really poorly in week 1, and we all can admit over the past few weeks he's played a lot better. But should we all be convinced that this is going to continue? I don't think so, because we've seen him have great stretches of play, followed by really poor stretches of play. But mixed in with those great stretches have always been bad primetime performances and losses. If this time around he gets a primetime win, goes toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow, and actually pulls it off, then we might actually start to feel confident in his abilities to start the rest of the season, move forward, and maybe even bring the Giants some more wins and keep them in the playoff race. But this does to me, not to be hyperbolic, this does to me feel like a potentially career-defining game for Daniel Jones. Like, this is a very important one, considering where he was at the beginning of the season, considering where the Giants were this offseason and what they were trying to do with their future, considering the fact that if Daniel Jones doesn't prove it this year, he can be cut for minimal penalty in the 2025 offseason. Primetime games are really where your future as a franchise quarterback are decided. So again, maybe it's hyperbolic to some, but to me, this feels like one of the most important games of Daniel Jones' career. This is a must show up and show out opportunity for him, and really for a lot of Giants players, because now we're 2-3. We win this game at home, primetime. We're 3-3. Now we're back at the second place in the NFC East, and hey, we pick up a few more wins, and we're really talking about this team potentially pushing for a playoff spot. But it has to start tonight. Prime time. Daniel Jones at home. Jones struggles at home. Let's face that as well. You know, we haven't even brought that up a whole lot, Alex. Not only does he struggle on prime time, but the Giants have lately struggled to win at MetLife Stadium. A lot of their wins have come on the road, like last week. Impressive win in a tough environment in Seattle. Why aren't they winning these games at home, though? That's a little bit confusing to me. Is it the neutrality of MetLife Stadium being both a Giants home and a Jets home? Maybe that's part of it. Maybe Giants fans are a little too hard on their players and boo them too soon. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but all I know is that this game, so unbelievably crucial for Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll, and this Giants team that's trying to turn things around after a slow start to the year. If they win this one, we could start to have some of those playoff conversations. But if they lose this one, I think we have a bad reality check coming our way, and I think we'll get our answers to how far this team can truly go throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all know, we've seen Daniel Jones take steps in the right direction. Doing it without Malik Neighbors last week was a huge indication of progress. Now, I want to make it very clear and evident, though, I have to see a lot more. I'm not falling into this trap, again, of a small sample size of games that convinces me that this guy suddenly is turning around his career. I need to see him win in big moments. The Bengals have their backs against the wall. They're clawing and fighting just to survive this season. Their season could be over if they lose to the Giants this week. Daniel Jones, go into this game and end their season, man. End their freaking season. Because that's what it takes. You know what I mean? That's what good quarterbacks do. They go in there. They don't care what the other team needs, what they're fighting for, what their reasons are. They beat the living shit out of them, right? That's what good players, great quarterbacks do. And finding a great quarterback is really, really difficult. As we're seeing across the league, people compare Trevor Lawrence to Daniel Jones all the time. This guy's a bust. This guy's that. They both haven't lived up to expectations. How about that? You know what I mean? Like, it's as simple as that. We're not comparing or contrasting Daniel Jones to any other quarterbacks. I don't give a crap about another quarterback, except for my boy Jaden Daniels. I love him to death, even though he's a Washington Commander. But in any case, like, this is about the New York Football Giants. This is about them winning football games, them improving, and establishing the run's going to be a big one. Taking what opposing defenses give us. I think Tyrone Tracy gets a lot more involved tonight as a receiver. In the screen game, it could be really fun. I know Eric Gray's gotten involved there a little bit, and he looked really solid leading up to that fumble last week. But this Giants team can move the football. They have a really good offensive play caller. I mean, what Brian Daboll's doing, like, please, guys, don't undersell what he's doing in the play calling categories. Like, they're they are absolutely dialing it up, man. They are coming out with masterful ways to beat this. Like, look, Darius Slayton's a good player, but he should not be torching teams the way he did last week. He's a good compliment. He's not. He put up WR1 numbers last week. That's not. I don't think that's going to be consistent. They're going to take that away this week. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's effective, but he's not a big time like threat downfield. He is a get the ball 5 yards, take it a couple extra yards, pick up first downs, short kind of quick outs and trying to score with him and really close to the end zone. I think that's where he really thrives, which can be very effective, and he is very effective. But this team, they're going to keep getting creative, and Daniel Jones not making the simple things, like doing the simple things at a high level allows you to stay in games, right? That's what really allows you to stay competitive. Doing the simple things, the small stuff, the details at a really high level. That's what made Tom Brady so great all those years. He did every little thing perfect. And then he hit on the big ones too. When it comes to Daniel Jones, got hit on all the little things, the fine details need to be perfect, and then you take those chances. Then you get those plays, and Darius Slayton had a couple of big ones, 41 yards and 30 yards for the touchdown last week. Need to have a couple more big explosive plays in this one. I'm excited about this game, man. This could either kind of send us down a different road, or it could put Daniel Jones in a really good light, in a primetime game against a good Cincinnati Bengals team that's kind of playing bad football this season, and they're starting to pick things up, getting a little unlucky. They went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs and toe-to-toe with the Ravens. So, this is not a bad football team. This is a team that's going to give the Giants a run for their money. If they can stand up and play well in this game and even win, we'll be having a totally different conversation tomorrow. But if they lose and it's ugly, we'll be right back to square one, having the conversation of what now. So it really is, like you said, a defining game in a lot of ways. I think that this one is so important to what the outlook of Daniel Jones' future is, but also the outlook of this team and really where they stand as a competitive football team.
Absolutely. I think this one is going to be crucial. It's going to be a lot of fun as well. Hopefully, we're not too eepy later tonight, and we can hit you guys with the instant post-game reaction. If not, obviously tomorrow morning, we got you guys, and I'm super excited to go ahead, discuss this game once it ends, and hopefully be discussing a New York Giants win. I love the Victory Mondays. I want tomorrow to be another Victory Monday. But we'll see. Like you said, Alex, it's going to be a tough one. Going to be a hard-fought contest. Hopefully the Giants can come out on top and get back to 500. That would be excellent. But that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Make sure to go ahead, check out BetUS. Use the code YouTube150 on your sign up. Fastest sportsbook payouts in the industry. Make sure to go check it out. Without further ado, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.